All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a concept that honestly applies to just about everything: sports, business, learning an instrument, you name it. It's called the inner game, and it's all about how to master the one opponent you can never, ever escape: yourself. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're trying to do something, maybe it's giving a big presentation or just hitting a tennis ball, and out of nowhere, your own mind just starts fighting you. That sense of self sabotage, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. So, here's the fundamental idea from the book, The Inner Game of Tennis. And it's this: in pretty much any activity you do, you're not just playing one game, you are always, always playing two. Now, the outer game, that's the obvious one. It's you against another person or a challenge, and the goal is to win, to get the result. But the inner game, that's the one we so often ignore. That's the battle that's happening inside our own heads, the one we have to win, to overcome our own mental baggage. So, what does this internal opponent actually look like? Well, it's not some kind of mysterious force. It's those all too familiar mental habits. It's that little bit of self doubt that creeps in before a crucial moment. It's the frustration that boils up after a mistake, or it's just plain losing focus. Winning the inner game is all about conquering these things that get in our way. Okay, so to really understand how to win this game, we kind of have to meet the players. The author, Timothy Galway, he came up with this really powerful way of looking at it: the idea that we all have two selves inside our minds. And this right here, just breaks down that internal struggle perfectly. You've got self one, that's your conscious mind, the teller. It's constantly barking orders: bend your knees, watch the ball, oh, don't mess this up. And then you have self two, which is your body, your intuition, the part that actually knows how to do the thing. The big problem is that self one's nonstop chatter just drowns out and interferes with self two's natural instinctive ability. And that leads us to this huge paradox, which is really at the heart of the whole inner game. When we try too hard, what we're really doing is letting self one take complete control, micromanaging and criticizing every single move. Real peak performance, that feeling of being in the zone, only happens when we can get self one to be quiet and just let self two do what it does best. So, this is where we get practical. It's one thing to say we need to quiet that critical voice of self one, but how do you actually do it? This is the absolute foundation of everything. Now, this doesn't mean you pretend mistakes aren't happening, not at all. It just means you stop piling on the judgment. So instead of thinking, that was a terrible shot, you just observe. The ball went into the net. You see what happened as a fact without all the emotional drama. And this is the why behind it. Judgment creates physical tension. The second self one screams, "that was awful," your muscles literally tighten up. And that tightness is the number one enemy of any kind of fluid, skillful performance. When you just observe, you stay relaxed, and you let self two make the needed adjustments all on its own. So here's the basic process, the recipe, if you will. First, you drop the good or bad judgment. Second, instead of telling yourself what to do with a bunch of words, you just picture the outcome you want. You create a really clear mental image of what a perfect serve looks and feels like. And third, you trust self two to do the job. You just let it happen. Okay, so let's say you've managed to quiet that inner critic. Great! But an empty mind can fill up with worry pretty fast. So the next piece of the puzzle is learning how to focus that newly quieted mind. This is so, so important. You can't just command your brain, "stop thinking." It's like telling someone not to think about a purple hippo. It's the first thing they'll think of. The secret isn't to fight your mind. It's to give it a simple, specific job to do. So you can focus on something really subtle, like the pattern of the seams on a spinning tennis ball. By doing that, you're giving self one a task that's so engaging, it doesn't have the mental space to worry or criticize. Or you could focus on the physical sensation of your body moving, or just pay attention to your breathing. These are all anchors that keep you right here, in the present moment. And that's really the crucial shift, right there. You have to stop thinking about how you should be performing or what should be happening. That's all self one's world of judgment. Instead, you just tune into the reality of what is. Experience what's actually happening: the feeling of the racket in your hand, the sound of the ball hitting the strings, the rhythm of your own breath. Now, as you've probably figured out by now, this stuff goes way, way beyond the tennis court. Once you start mastering your inner game, it has these huge ripple effects on how you approach pretty much every challenge in your life. This is such a massive shift in how we think about success. See, winning, that's an outcome. And honestly, it's not 100% in your control. But the effort, the process of overcoming your own mental hurdles, that is totally within your control. And learning to find the reward in that is where real, lasting satisfaction comes from. And look at the payoff here. It's huge. When you start to practice this inner game stuff in your daily life, you begin to see obstacles not as these big, scary threats, but as opportunities to learn and grow. You build a kind of resilience that doesn't depend on what other people think. This is the real path to finding freedom from so much of our stress and anxiety. And this is the ultimate prize, inner stability. It's not about being numb or ignoring problems. It's about having the ability to see things clearly for what they really are, without all the panic and judgment from self-one. And then allowing the deep wisdom of self-two to respond in the best possible way. You're just not so easily knocked off balance anymore. And in the end, it all comes back to this one thing: focus. Whether you're in a high-stakes meeting or on a tennis court or just dealing with a personal problem, the master skill is being able to guide your attention back to right here, right now. It means you are in charge of your thinking, instead of your thinking being in charge of you. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. That difficult conversation you need to have, learning a new skill, dealing with pressure at your job, all of them are inner games. So which one are you going to choose to master next?